The stars looked different from the bridge of the Prometheus. Captain Hansol stood with his hands behind his back, watching the blue planet grow larger on the viewing screen. Kepler 442 was beautiful. It had oceans, forests, and mountains. It looked like Earth, but cleaner. No pollution, no wars, just endless possibility. "We made it," said Dr. Bora, standing beside him. Her eyes were bright with excitement. 300 light-years from home. "Can you believe it?" Hansol smiled a little. "I believe it when we land safely. Run another scan. Make sure there are no surprises down there." The Prometheus was humanity's pride. It carried 2,000 colonists in cryosleep, enough supplies for 10 years and the most advanced technology Earth could build. They had left home 6 months ago. The new faster-than-light drive made it possible. A young engineer named Ji-Wan had redesigned the old engines. Everyone said it was impossible. Ji-Wan proved them wrong. "Captain," called out Taemin from the security station. His voice was sharp. "We have contacts. Multiple ships, big ones. They just appeared on our sensors." Hansol's smile disappeared. "How many?" 15, maybe 20. "They are moving into formation around us." Taemin looked up from his screen. His face was tight with worry. "Captain, these ships are huge. Each one is 3 times our size." The bridge went quiet. Everyone stopped what they were doing. Dr. Bora moved closer to the main screen. "Are they aliens? What else could they be?" Taemin muttered. Hansol took a deep breath. This was it. First contact. Humanity had dreamed about this moment for centuries. Now it was happening and they were not ready. "Open a communication channel. All frequencies." A young officer worked the controls. "Channel open, sir." Hansol cleared his throat. "This is Captain Hansol of the Earth vessel Prometheus. We come in peace. We are explorers from the planet Earth. We mean no harm." Static filled the bridge. Then a voice came through. It was cold and mechanical. The translation software worked quickly, turning the alien sounds into words they could understand. "Human vessel. You have entered protected space. This system belongs to the Galactic Assembly. You are not authorized to be here. Leave immediately." Dr. Bora looked at Hansol. "Protected space? We had no idea. Our scans showed this planet was uninhabited." Hansol raised his hand. He spoke into the communication system again. "We apologize for any intrusion. We did not know this area was claimed. We are simply looking for a new home. Earth is overcrowded. We need space to grow." The alien voice came back harder this time. "Your ignorance is not an excuse. The Galactic Assembly has maintained order in this galaxy for 20,000 years. Primitive species are not permitted to travel beyond their home systems. You have violated our laws." Taemin stood up. "Primitive? Did they just call us primitive?" "Quiet," Hansol said. He kept his voice calm, but inside anger was building. "We request permission to speak with your leaders. Perhaps we can reach an understanding. There is nothing to discuss. You will power down your engines and prepare to be escorted back to your system. If you resist, we will disable your ship." The screen changed. An alien appeared. It looked like a giant insect, with multiple eyes and sharp mandibles. Its body was covered in dark armor. "This was Commander Vix of the Theron species. You don't belong here," Vix said. His voice was filled with certainty. "You are children playing with technology you don't understand. Return to your cradle world before you burn yourselves." Something snapped inside Hansol. He thought about Earth. Billions of people crammed into cities, dying oceans, polluted air. Humanity needed this. They had worked for decades to build this ship. Ji-Wan had risked everything to make the FTL drive work. 2,000 families were sleeping below, dreaming of a better future. And this alien insect was telling them to go home like scolded children. Hansol stepped closer to the screen. He looked directly into Vix's multiple eyes. "That's what they said about fire." Vix tilted his head. "What? Fire?" Hansol repeated. "1 million years ago, our ancestors were just apes in the forest. Lightning struck a tree. Fire spread. Most animals ran away. But our ancestors didn't run. They watched. They learned. They picked up burning branches. Everyone probably thought they were crazy. Everyone probably said fire was too dangerous. That they didn't belong near it." He paused. The bridge was completely silent now. Even Taemin was listening. "But they didn't listen," Hansol continued. "They mastered fire. They used it to cook food, to stay warm, to keep predators away. Fire took them out of the caves and into civilization. So when you tell me we don't belong here, when you tell me we're playing with things we don't understand, I remember that story. We've always reached for things beyond our grasp. That's what makes us human. Vix stared at him. For a moment, nobody spoke. Then Vix made a sound that might have been laughter. You compare yourself to fire? Fire consumes. Fire destroys. Perhaps you are more correct than you know. Commander Vix, Hansol said firmly. We are not leaving. The alien's mandibles clicked together. Then you are fools. I gave you a chance. My ships will open fire in 30 seconds. Power down your weapons or we will destroy you. The screen went dark. Captain. Taman was already at his station. Their weapons are charging. All ships are targeting us, Hansol turned to his crew. Their faces showed fear but also determination. G1, can we outrun them? The young engineer was already working. Maybe, if we push the FTL drive past its limits, but I don't know if the ship can handle it. We have to try, Dr. Bora said. We can't fight them. Look at those ships. She's right, Taman added. But Captain, we might not make it. Hansol made his decision. G1, prepare for emergency FTL jump. Taman, charge our weapons. I want them to know we're not running because we're afraid. We're leaving because we choose to. But sir, someone protested. Our weapons won't even scratch their shields. I don't care. Fire anyway. The Prometheus's weapons came online. They were simple railguns, nothing like the energy weapons the aliens used. But they were all humanity had. 10 seconds, Taman counted down. 5, 4, 3, fire, Hansol ordered. The railguns shot metal slugs at incredible speed. They hit the nearest Theron ship. To everyone's shock, sparks flew from the alien vessel's hull. Warning lights flashed on its surface. What? Taman stared at his screen. Their shields didn't stop it. Our weapons hurt them. G1 was typing furiously. Of course. Their shields are designed for energy weapons. Our kinetic weapons use completely different physics. They didn't expect it. The Theron fleet responded immediately. Brilliant beams of light shot toward the Prometheus. The ship shook as the shields absorbed the hits. Shields at 60%. Someone shouted, "Jump now!" Hansol commanded. G1 hit the final sequence. The FTL drive screamed to life. Space twisted around the Prometheus. For a terrible moment, it felt like the ship was being torn apart. Then they were gone. The Prometheus jumped through space, leaving the Theron fleet behind. Alarms rang throughout the ship. Systems were failing. The FTL drive was overheating. But they were alive. Hansol collapsed into his chair. His hands were shaking. Around him, the crew was cheering. They had survived. Against impossible odds, they had survived. Dr. Bora put her hand on his shoulder. We did it. We actually did it. For now, Hansol said quietly. He looked at the star map. They were far from Kepler 442, but they were also far from Earth. But this isn't over. We just declared ourselves to the galaxy. They know we exist now. They know we won't go quietly. Taman walked over. What do we do now, Captain? Hansol stood up. He looked at his crew, at the people who had trusted him with their lives. We do what humans have always done. We adapt, we survive, and we find another way forward. They think we're children playing with fire? Then let's show them what fire can do. Outside the ship, stars stretched in all directions. Somewhere out there was a new home. Somewhere out there was humanity's future. And nothing, not even a galaxy of aliens, was going to stop them from reaching it. The news traveled fast. Within a week, every human outpost knew what happened at Kepler 442. Earth's government called emergency meetings. People filled the streets holding signs and shouting slogans. Some demanded that the Prometheus come home. Others called Captain Hansol a hero. The world was divided, but the Prometheus was far away, hiding in an asteroid field. G1 worked day and night to repair the damaged FTL drive. The ship was falling apart. Every system showed warning signs. They needed supplies, but going to any human outpost would lead the aliens right to them. Hansol sat in his quarters, studying alien transmissions that Dr. Bora had intercepted. The messages were in dozens of different languages, but the translation software was getting better at decoding them. What he read made his blood run cold. The Galactic Assembly was not just angry. They were terrified. Captain, Dr. Bora entered without knocking. Her face was pale. I found something. You need to see this. She put a datapad on his desk. I've been analyzing their communications. There's a pattern. Every time they mention humans, they use the same word. I had the computer translate it literally. What word? Hansol asked. Primarch. Bora sat down. It's an ancient term. From their old records. Thousands of years ago, there was another species. They were brilliant, aggressive, and they advanced too quickly. They almost destroyed the entire galaxy before the assembly stopped them. Hansol leaned forward. They think we're like these Primarchs? Worse. They think we might be their descendants. Our DNA shows rapid evolution. Our technology jumps forward in decades, not centuries. We invent things that shouldn't be possible with our level of development. Bora looked at him with worried eyes. They're not trying to control us, Captain. They're trying to prevent another war. Before Hansol could respond, alarms blared throughout the ship. Taemin's voice came through the speakers. Captain, to the bridge, now! They ran to the bridge. The main screen showed a small ship approaching. It was old and battered. Nothing like the sleek Theron warships. The design was unfamiliar. Unknown vessel, Taemin reported. One life sign aboard. They're broadcasting on an open channel. What do they want? Hansol asked. They say they want to help us. Hansol and Taemin exchanged looks. It could be a trap, Taemin said. Or it could be our only chance, Dr. Bora added. We need allies, Captain. Hansol made his decision. Let them dock. But security teams on full alert. The alien who came aboard was nothing like Commander Vix. He was small, barely reaching Hansol's shoulder. His skin was green and scaly, and he had 4 arms. He wore a trader's clothes and carried no weapons. My name is Dal, he said in broken English. I am Valen, I come as friend. Why would you help us? Hansol asked. Your assembly wants us gone. Dal made a sound like laughter. Assembly is corrupt. They fear change. They fear new ideas. For 10,000 years, they keep galaxy same. No progress, no growth. Just control, he pointed at Hansol. You are different. You challenge them. This is good. You could get in trouble for helping us, Dr. Bora said. Already in trouble. Dal showed them a device. I steal this from assembly ship. It has information, plans, they prepare big fleet. They come to Earth soon. They demand you surrender all FTL technology. If you refuse, they blockade your planet. The bridge went silent. Blockade Earth? That meant cutting them off from the rest of the solar system. Millions could starve. When? Hansol asked, his voice tight. 2 weeks. Maybe 3. Dal looked at each of them. You must prepare. You must warn your people. Hansol turned to his crew. Get me a secure line to Earth. I need to speak with the government. The transmission took hours to reach Earth and hours more to get a response. When it finally came, Hansol found himself talking to Ambassador Hyejin, Earth's representative to newly established alien relations. Captain Hansol, she said. The woman on the screen looked tired. You have caused quite a situation. I did what I thought was right, he replied, I know. And many people agree with you. But we're facing an impossible choice. The Assembly is offering us a deal. Give up FTL travel. Accept their oversight and they'll leave us in peace. Refuse and they'll force us. That's not peace, Hansol said. That's surrender. They want to keep us trapped in our own solar system forever. I agree with you, Hyejin said softly. But I have to think about Earth. About the people who will die if this becomes a war. Can we really win against an enemy with thousands of years of advanced technology? Hansol thought about his reply to Commander Vix. About fire. About how humanity had always reached for things beyond their grasp. Ambassador, our ancestors lived in caves. They had nothing but rocks and sticks. But they survived, they grew. They built civilizations. Do you know why? Why? She asked. Because they refused to accept limits. The Assembly wants to put us back in the cave. They want us to be grateful for scraps. But we're not that species anymore. We can't be. Hyejin was quiet for a long moment. What would you have me do? Tell them no. Tell them we will not surrender our future, and then prepare for what comes next. The transmission ended. Hansol didn't know if she would listen. But he had to try. Dal approached him after the call. You speak brave words, but words alone will not stop Assembly fleet. I know, Hansol admitted. Dal, you said the Assembly is corrupt. Are there others who think like you? Other species who want change? The trader's eyes gleamed. Many others. But they are afraid. They need someone to lead them. Someone to show them that Assembly is not all-powerful. Then we give them that proof, Hansol said. He called his senior officers together. Dr. Bora, Taemin, Jiwan, and Dal gathered around the tactical table. The Assembly fleet is coming to Earth, Hansol said. We can't stop them with force. But we can embarrass them. We can show the galaxy that humans are not easy prey. What do you have in mind? Taman asked. Hansel pointed to a star system on the map. This is where the assembly keeps their supply depot. According to Dal's information, it's lightly defended. Most of their forces are preparing for Earth. Jiwan's eyes went wide. You want to attack them? Not attack, raid. We hit the depot, take what we need, and leave. But more importantly, we prove that humans can strike anywhere. That we're not afraid. It's risky, Taman said, but he was smiling. Very risky. All the best plans are, Hansel replied. Dr. Bora looked worried. And if we fail? Then we fail trying. But I'd rather die reaching for the stars than live on my knees. They spent 3 days planning. Dal provided detailed information about the depot's defenses. Jiwan worked miracles getting the FTL drive running at 80% capacity. Taman trained the security teams for a lightning-fast raid. When they were ready, Hansel addressed the entire crew. What we're about to do will change everything. The assembly will see us as criminals. Earth might disown us. But we're not doing this for glory. We're doing this because someone has to stand up. Someone has to say enough, the crew cheered. These were colonists, not soldiers. But they were ready to fight for their future. The Prometheus jumped to the supply depot system. They came in fast and low using an asteroid belt for cover. The depot was massive, a floating city in space. But Dal was right. Only 3 guard ships protected it. All weapons ready, Taman reported. Then let's introduce ourselves, Hansel said.
Fire! The railguns fired.
Metal slugs tore through space, hitting the guard ships before they could raise their shields. 2 ships were disabled immediately. The 3rd tried to run, but Jiwan was faster, positioning the Prometheus between the guard and the depot. Boarding teams go, Taman commanded. Small shuttles launched from the Prometheus carrying armed humans to the depot. The aliens inside were not prepared for combat. They were administrators and workers, not soldiers. Within an hour, Taman's teams had secured the main storage areas. They took everything useful. Food, fuel, medical supplies, and most importantly, technology. Advanced computers, shield generators, and weapon systems. All of it went into the Prometheus's cargo holds. Captain, Jiwan called. Long-range sensors show incoming ships. A lot of them. Time to leave, Hansel ordered. Recall all teams. They jumped away just as the assembly reinforcements arrived. Behind them, the depot's emergency signals filled space. News of the raid would spread across the galaxy. Humanity had just declared war on the Galactic Assembly, and there was no going back now. The assembly fleet arrived at Earth 3 weeks after the depot raid. 50 massive warships positioned themselves around the planet like a cage. Their message was clear and brutal. Surrender the FTL technology, or watch your world die. But Earth did not surrender. Ambassador He Jin stood before the assembly's holographic representatives and spoke 2 words that would echo through history: we refuse. The blockade began immediately. No ships in or out. The orbital stations that provided food and medicine to Earth's billions were cut off. The assembly expected humanity to collapse within months. They were wrong. General Yun Ho had been preparing for this. While diplomats talked and politicians argued, he had been building a resistance network. Hidden bases on asteroids. Small, fast ships modified for guerrilla warfare. Weapons that the aliens would never expect. We can't fight them head-on, he told his commanders. We're mosquitoes attacking an elephant, but mosquitoes carry diseases. They spread. They multiply. They make the elephant suffer. The first human strike came from nowhere. A small ship, barely bigger than a shuttle, appeared near an assembly cruiser. Before the aliens could react, it fired a dozen missiles and vanished. The missiles weren't powerful, but they didn't need to be. They were filled with computer viruses, designed by a civilian hacker named Subin. The assembly cruiser's systems went haywire. Weapons fired randomly. Life support failed. The ship had to withdraw for repairs. More attacks followed, small and fast, hit and run. Human ships would appear, strike, and disappear before the enemy could respond. They used tactics the aliens had never seen. They hid in asteroid fields. They used gravity wells to slingshot away from danger. They targeted supply lines instead of warships. The assembly commander, War Master Drex, was furious. He was Krithian, a species known for their military might. He had conquered a dozen worlds, but these humans were driving him mad. "They fight like cowards," he roared at his officers. "They refuse to face us properly." "Perhaps that is why they're winning, War Master," one of his aides said quietly. Drek struck the aide across the face. "Winning? They are insects, I will crush them." But crushing humanity proved difficult. For every human ship destroyed, 2 more appeared. For every victory the Assembly claimed, they lost more resources and time. The blockade was costing them dearly. Captain Hansol watched it all from the Prometheus. They had joined the Resistance, leading raids across multiple systems. Dal had brought more allies, species tired of Assembly control. They formed what they called the Free Coalition. "We're making a difference," Dr. Bora said, studying the latest intelligence reports. "The Assembly is spreading their forces thin. They're losing support among their member species." "But we're losing people," Taemin added grimly. "Every raid costs lives. We can't keep this up forever." Hansol knew he was right. The war was taking its toll. But what choice did they have? The answer came in the worst possible way. War Master Drex decided to send a message. If the humans wanted to play their games, he would show them the price of rebellion. He chose a small colony on Mars. 5,000 people lived there, mining operations and research facilities. Families. Children. The bombardment lasted 3 hours. When it was over, nothing remained but craters and ash. The galaxy watched in horror. Even other Assembly species protested. But Drex didn't care. He broadcast his message to all human forces. "This is what happens when you defy us. Surrender now, or more colonies will burn." Hansol stood on the bridge of the Prometheus, his fists clenched so tight his knuckles turned white. Around him his crew was silent. Some were crying. Others looked ready to kill. "Captain," Taemin said quietly. "Your orders?" Hansol looked at the tactical display. War Master Drex's flagship was marked there, a massive dreadnought called the Iron Fist. It was the most powerful ship in the blockade fleet. "Find me every ship we have," Hansol said. "Every human vessel, every Free Coalition ally. I want them all." "What are you planning?" Dr. Bora asked. Drex wanted to send a message. Now we send one back. Meanwhile, on Earth, Subin was having a breakthrough. The young hacker had been studying Assembly systems for months. She had found something incredible. The Assembly's entire fleet used the same network protocols. Every ship, every station, all connected. "It's their greatest strength," she explained to Ambassador Heejin. "Perfect coordination, perfect communication, but it's also their biggest weakness." "What do you mean?" Heejin asked. Subin smiled. It was not a kind smile. "One network means one point of failure. If we can get inside, we can disrupt everything. Their shields, their weapons, their communications, all of it." "How do we get inside?" "We need someone to plug a transmitter directly into their system. Someone on one of their ships." Hyejin immediately contacted Hansol. When she explained the plan, he knew what had to be done. "We're going to board the Iron Fist," he told his crew. "Taemin will lead the team. Get in, plant Subin's device, get out." Taemin looked at the specs of Drex's flagship. "Captain, this is a suicide mission. I know. That's why I'm asking for volunteers only." Every single member of the security team volunteered. The attack was coordinated with General Yunho's forces. While human ships hit the blockade from multiple directions, drawing away defenders, the Prometheus made its move. G1 pushed the FTL drive to its absolute limit, jumping directly into the Iron Fist's shield perimeter. They used an old trick from Earth's history. Boarding pods, nothing more than armored shuttles designed to punch through hulls. The Assembly had never seen anything like it. Who was crazy enough to try ramming a dreadnought? Humans, apparently. Taemin's team crashed through the Iron Fist's hull. They fought their way through corridors filled with surprised aliens. The Crithians were fierce warriors, but they had never faced humans in close combat. Humans who fought with desperation and rage. "There!" Taemin pointed to a data junction. "Plant the device." His tech specialist worked quickly, connecting Subin's transmitter to the ship's systems. Alarms blared. More enemies were coming. "Done," the specialist shouted. "Transmitting now." Back on the Prometheus, Subin activated her virus. It spread through the assembly network like wildfire. Shields flickered. Weapons went offline. Communications jammed. Chaos erupted across the entire blockade fleet. "Now," General Yunho commanded. "All ships attack!" The human fleet struck with everything they had. Without shields, the assembly ships were vulnerable. 3 cruisers were destroyed in the first minute. 5 more were crippled. The blockade was breaking. On the Iron Fist, Taman and his team were surrounded. War Master Drex himself had come to stop them, leading a squad of elite warriors. "You," Drex roared, pointing at Taman. "You dare board my ship?" Taman raised his weapon. "You killed 5,000 innocent people. This is for them." The fight was brutal and short. Taman's team was outnumbered, but they had accomplished their mission. As he fell, wounded and bleeding, Taman triggered the explosive charges they had planted throughout the ship. The Iron Fist tore itself apart from within. Hansol watched from the Prometheus as the massive dreadnought exploded. He felt no joy. "Only sadness for the friends he had lost, Captain," Dr. Bora said softly. "The assembly fleet is retreating." "We won." "No," Hansol replied. "We survived. That's not the same thing." News of the battle spread across the galaxy. The assembly had suffered a major defeat. More species began questioning their authority. The Free Coalition grew stronger. But something else was happening. Something that would change everything. In a forgotten corner of space, ancient sensors detected the energy signatures from the battle. These sensors had been dormant for thousands of years. Now they were waking up. And deep in a dimensional prison, something stirred. Something that had been waiting. Something that was now breaking free. The Primarchs were returning. The attack came without warning. An entire star system simply vanished from sensors. One moment it was there. The next, nothing but empty space. No debris, no radiation. Just silence. The assembly sent a scout ship to investigate. It never returned. Then another system disappeared. Then another. Panic spread across the galaxy. The war between humans and the assembly suddenly seemed insignificant. Something far worse was happening. High Arbiter Kelran, leader of the Galactic Assembly, called for an emergency council. For the first time in history, he invited humans to attend. Ambassador Hyojin and Captain Hansol traveled to the Assembly's capital world. The council chamber was enormous, filled with representatives from dozens of species. All of them looked terrified. Kelran himself was an ancient being, his body made of pure energy contained in a crystalline shell. "We face extinction," Kelran said, his voice echoing through the chamber. "The Primarchs have returned." Murmurs filled the room. Hansol leaned toward Hyojin. "What are the Primarchs?" An old alien approached them. She looked fragile, her skin covered in ancient scars. "I am Elder Myra," she said. "I am one of the few who survived the last Primarch War. Let me tell you what we face." She explained that 10,000 years ago, the Primarchs ruled the galaxy. They were beings of pure logic and order. They believed that biological life was chaotic and dangerous, so they decided to eliminate it. All of it. "The war lasted 1,000 years, Myra said. Billions died. Entire species were wiped out. We finally defeated them by trapping them in a dimensional prison. We thought they would be contained forever. But the prison is failing," Kelran added. "The energy from our recent conflicts has destabilized it. The Primarchs are breaking free." Hansol stood up. "How do we stop them?" "We don't know," Kelran admitted. "Last time we barely survived. And we were stronger then. We had more ships, more soldiers, more unity. Now we are divided, weakened by war." He looked directly at Hansol. "A war that humans started?" "No," Hansol replied firmly. "A war you started when you tried to cage us. But that doesn't matter now. If the Primarchs destroy the galaxy, there won't be anyone left to argue about who was right." Hyojin stepped forward. "High Arbiter Captain Hansol is correct. We must put aside our differences. Humanity offers its full support against this threat." Many species in the council protested. How could they trust humans? But Kelran raised his hand for silence. "We have no choice," he said. "Every species must unite or we all die. Humans, despite their chaos, have proven resourceful. We need that resourcefulness now." The alliance was formed quickly. For the first time in galactic history, humans and the Assembly worked together, but mistrust ran deep. Many Assembly species still blamed humans for the Primarch awakening. The first joint operation was a disaster. Human and alien ships tried to defend a system from a Primarch attack. Their tactics clashed. Communications failed. The Primarchs destroyed the defending fleet with ease. "They're too rigid," General Yunho complained after the battle. "They follow their strategies exactly even when they're not working. They can't adapt." "And they think we're too chaotic," Heejin replied. "They can't predict what we'll do next because we don't follow their rules." Hansol studied reports of Primarch attacks. There was a pattern. The Primarchs targeted systems with the most organized defenses first. They avoided areas with unpredictable elements. "They're like the Assembly," he realized. "They hate chaos. They can't handle things that don't follow patterns." Dr. Bora joined the research team studying Primarch technology. She worked alongside Elder Myra and other Assembly scientists. It was difficult at first. They spoke different languages, used different methods, but slowly they began to understand each other. "The Primarchs are not invincible," Bora explained to Hansol. "They're powerful, but they have a weakness. They can't process disorder. Random inputs confuse them. So we need to be as random as possible," Hansol said. "Exactly. But the Assembly can't fight that way. They've been using the same tactics for thousands of years." Hansol smiled grimly. "Then it's a good thing they have us." The next battle was different. Hansol convinced the Assembly commanders to let humans lead. Instead of organized battle lines, human ships darted unpredictably. They used tactics the Primarchs had never seen. Feints, ambushes, desperate charges followed by sudden retreats. It worked. The Primarchs struggled to respond. Their perfect logic couldn't predict human behavior because human behavior made no logical sense. For the first time, the Primarchs retreated. But the victory was small. The Primarchs were still breaking free from their prison. Soon their full force would emerge, and then no amount of chaos would save the galaxy. Subin discovered something crucial while analyzing Primarch signals. "They're not just breaking free randomly," she told the council. "They're coordinated. There's a central intelligence directing everything. If we can find it and destroy it, we might stop them." "Where is this intelligence?" Kelran asked. "At the dimensional rift. The weak point where they're escaping. But getting there means going through their entire fleet." It was a suicide mission. Everyone knew it. But they had no choice. General Yunho volunteered to lead the assault. "I'm old," he said simply. "Let the young ones survive." An unexpected ally stepped forward. Commander Vix, the Theron who had first confronted the Prometheus, offered his ship. "Why?" Hansol asked. "You hate us." Vix's mandibles clicked. "I respect strength. You have shown strength. Besides, if the Primarchs win, my hatred means nothing. We are all dead." The assault fleet gathered. It was a strange sight. Human ships flying beside Theron warships, Felon traders next to Assembly cruisers, former enemies working together. Ji-Wan had been working on a secret weapon. She combined human creativity with alien technology to create something new, a device that would overload the dimensional rift with contradictory signals. Pure chaos in energy form. "It needs to be placed directly at the rift's core," she explained, "and someone needs to stay with it to make sure it doesn't fail." Nobody spoke. They all knew what that meant. The fleet jumped to the dimensional rift. What they found there was terrifying. The rift itself was a tear in space pulsing with dark energy. Around it, hundreds of Primarch ships floated in perfect formation. "All ships," Hansol commanded. "For Earth, for the galaxy, charge!" The battle was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Human ships used their chaotic tactics, drawing Primarch attention. Assembly vessels provided heavy firepower. Free Coalition allies struck from unexpected angles. Ships fell on both sides. Explosions lit up space. But slowly, painfully, they pushed forward. General Yunho's ship broke through the Primarch lines. He headed straight for the rift, carrying Ji-Wan's device. "General, you need to pull back," someone radioed. "You won't survive." "I know," Yunho replied calmly. "But my children will. My grandchildren will. That's enough." His ship plunged into the rift. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the rift began to pulse wildly. The Primarch ships froze, unable to process what was happening. Their perfect order was being overwhelmed by pure chaos. Commander Vix saw his chance. "All ships, target the rift! Overload it!" Every weapon in the combined fleet fired at once. Energy poured into the unstable rift. Reality itself screamed. The rift collapsed. In an instant, the Primarch ships were pulled back into the dimensional prison. The tear in space sealed itself, leaving only empty void. Silence fell across the fleet. Then slowly cheers began. They had won. Against impossible odds, they had won. But the victory was bittersweet. General Yunho was gone. So were thousands of others who had given their lives. Han Sol stood on the bridge of the Prometheus, looking at the empty space where the rift had been. Dr. Bora put her hand on his shoulder. "We did it," she said softly. "They did it," Han Sol corrected. "All of them. Human and alien together. That's what it took." Commander Vix's face appeared on the screen. "Captain Han Sol, I was wrong about your species. You do belong here. You belong among the stars." Han Sol nodded. "Thank you, Commander. And you were right about one thing. We are like fire. But fire doesn't just destroy. It also lights the way forward. Now came the hard part. Rebuilding. Learning to live together. Creating a new future." 5 years had passed since the Primarch War ended. The galaxy looked very different now. The Galactic Assembly had been reformed. It was no longer a hierarchy of old species controlling younger ones. Now it was a true democracy. Every species had a voice, including humanity. Ambassador Hyjin served on the council alongside beings who had once wanted to cage her people. The change had not been easy. Many species resisted at first. They had maintained power for thousands of years. Giving it up was difficult, but the Primarch War had taught them a valuable lesson. Diversity made them stronger. Different ways of thinking, different approaches to problems. These were advantages, not weaknesses. Captain Han Sol stood at the memorial on the moon of Kepler 442, the planet where it all began. The monument stretched high into the sky, made of crystal that caught the light of 3 suns. Names were carved into its surface. Thousands of names, human and alien, all who had died fighting for freedom. Commander Vix stood beside him. The old Theron had become an unexpected friend. Together they had helped build the new galaxy. "Do you remember our first meeting?" Vix asked, his mandibles clicking softly. Han Sol smiled. "How could I forget? You told me we didn't belong here. And you said something about fire. I did not understand then. But I understand now." Vix looked at the memorial. "Fire transforms. It creates as much as it destroys. Your species has transformed the galaxy." "We all did," Han Sol replied. "Humans couldn't have done it alone. We needed you. We needed everyone." Dr. Bora approached them, a datapad in her hands. "Captain, I have the latest reports from the Institute. 40 new species have requested cultural exchange programs this year. We can barely keep up." The Institute for Interspecies Understanding had been Bora's dream. Now it was reality. Beings from across the galaxy came to learn from each other, not to conquer or control, but simply to understand. "That's good news," Han Sol said. "Every connection we make reduces the chance of future conflict." Jiwon joined them, looking tired but happy. "The new FTL engines are ready for mass production. We combined human innovation with Theron manufacturing and Velen energy systems. They're 3 times faster than anything we've had before." 3 times faster means 3 times more exploration, Bora said excitedly. "Think of all the worlds we'll discover." Vix made a sound that might have been laughter. 5 years ago, we tried to stop humans from exploring. Now we help you build better ships. The universe has a sense of humor. A young girl approached the group. She was human, maybe 10 years old, part of a school group visiting the memorial. She looked up at Han Sol with wide eyes. "Are you really Captain Han Sol?" she asked shyly. Han Sol knelt down to her level. "I am. What's your name?" "Minha. I learned about you in school." "You're a hero." "No," Han Sol said gently. "The real heroes are here." He pointed to the memorial. "They gave everything so you could have a future. They're the ones you should remember." Minha looked at the thousands of names carved in crystal. "My teacher said you told the aliens that humans are like fire." "What did you mean?" Han Sol thought for a moment. How could he explain it to a child? A long time ago, our ancestors were afraid of fire. It was dangerous and unpredictable. But then someone brave picked it up. They learned to use it. Fire kept them warm. It cooked their food. It protected them from predators. Fire helped humans grow from simple creatures into something more. "But fire can hurt people too," Minha said. "Yes. That's why we must be careful. We must respect its power. The same is true for everything humans do. We reach for things beyond our grasp. We take risks. Sometimes we fail. Sometimes we get burned. But we learn, we adapt. We try again." Minha smiled. I want to be an explorer when I grow up. I want to find new worlds. Then you will, Han Sol said. The galaxy is open now. You can go anywhere you want, be anything you want. That's what they fought for. He gestured to the memorial again. Don't waste their gift. The girl nodded seriously and ran back to her group. Vix watched her go. Your young ones have fire in their eyes, just like you did when we first met. That fire will never go out, Han Sol said. It's part of what makes us human. The desire to explore, to learn, to push boundaries. As long as there are stars in the sky, humans will reach for them. Later that day, Han Sol attended a council meeting on the Assembly's capital world. The chamber that had once been filled with tension and fear now hummed with productive debate. Species that had never spoken to each other were working on joint projects. Trade agreements were being signed. Peace treaties were being honored. High Arbiter Kelran called for silence. We have a proposal from the human delegation. Ambassador He-Jin, please proceed. He-Jin stood. She had aged well, with streaks of gray in her hair but fire still in her eyes. Thank you, High Arbiter. We propose establishing a new organization, the Galactic Exploration Corps. Its mission will be to map unknown regions of space and make first contact with undiscovered species. Why? Asked a representative from a cautious species. We have explored enough. Why seek out more trouble? Because isolation nearly destroyed us, He-Jin replied. The Assembly tried to control the galaxy by limiting contact between species. That created fear and ignorance. If we had met each other openly from the beginning, maybe we could have avoided the conflict. Maybe we could have been ready for the Primarchs together. She looked around the chamber. There are thousands of species in this galaxy. We've only met a fraction of them. Some might be dangerous, some might be friendly, but we'll never know if we hide behind our borders. The Exploration Corps will reach out, not to conquer, not to control, just to connect. Elder Myra, now serving as an advisor, spoke up. I support this proposal. In my long life, I have seen the cost of isolation. I have seen what happens when species fear each other. The human ambassador is right. We must choose connection over separation. The vote was not unanimous. Old fears die hard, but the majority agreed. The Galactic Exploration Corps would be created, and its first director would be Captain Han Sol. After the meeting, Kelran approached Han Sol privately. You have changed much since we first met, Captain. You are no longer the angry young human defying the galaxy. I'm still that person, Han Sol said. I still believe we have the right to explore, to grow, to reach for things beyond our grasp. But I've learned that we don't have to do it alone. We're stronger together. A wise lesson, Kelran said. I must confess I feared your species when you first appeared. You advanced so quickly. You broke all our rules. I thought you would bring chaos and destruction. We did bring chaos, Han Sol admitted. But sometimes chaos is necessary. Sometimes the old order needs to be shaken up before something better can grow. Indeed. Kelran's crystalline form shimmered. You were right about fire, Captain. It is dangerous, but it is also necessary. Without fire, there is only cold and darkness. Years continued to pass. The galaxy flourished. New species joined the Assembly. Old conflicts were resolved through dialogue instead of war. Technology advanced as different species shared their knowledge freely. Subin became head of the Galactic Security Network, using her skills to prevent conflicts before they started. Jiwan led a team of scientists from a dozen species, creating wonders that no single species could have imagined alone. Dal, the trader who had helped humanity in its darkest hour, now operated a shipping company that connected all corners of the galaxy. He often joked that helping humans had been the best business decision he ever made, and the Prometheus, the ship that had started it all, was preserved as a museum. Millions visited it each year, walking its corridors and imagining that first desperate flight from Kepler 442. On the anniversary of the Primarch War's end, Han Sol returned to the memorial one more time. He was old now, his hair white, his face lined with age, but his eyes still held that spark, that fire that defined humanity. A group of young beings stood before the memorial. Humans, Therans, Velans, Crithians, dozens of species all learning together about the war that had united the galaxy. One of them, a human girl, noticed him. Are you Captain Han Sol? He smiled. I am. And who are you? I'm Sujin. I'm studying to join the Exploration Corps. We're about to leave on our first deep space mission. We're going to explore the unknown regions. That's dangerous territory, Han Sol said. Are you ready? Sujin's eyes shone with excitement. We're ready. We've trained for years, and we're not going alone. We have a crew from 15 different species. Whatever we find out there, we'll face it together. Han Sol felt pride swell in his chest. This was what they had fought for. Not just survival, but this. Young beings from across the galaxy working together, reaching for the unknown without fear. When you're out there, he said, remember this memorial. Remember what it cost to build the peace we have now. Don't waste it. But also don't be afraid to take risks. That's how we grow. That's how we learn. We will, Sujin promised. Someone once said that humans are like fire. We're going to light up the darkest corners of space. After they left, Han Sol stood alone before the memorial. He thought about that day on the Prometheus when Commander Vix had told him that humans didn't belong among the stars. How wrong Vix had been. How wrong they had all been. Humans did belong here, not because they were the strongest or the smartest or the most advanced, but because they never stopped trying, never stopped reaching, never stopped believing that they could be more than they were. That was the gift of fire. Not destruction, but transformation. The power to change, to adapt, to become something new. Han Sol looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, new explorers were preparing for their journey. New discoveries waited to be made. New challenges would arise, but humanity would be ready. They always were, because that's what fire does. It spreads, it grows, it lights the way forward into the darkness, and nothing in the universe could ever put it out.